Hello. Just waiting for everyone to turn up. Okay. Got to set a timer or else I'll go over time. Oh, there's no one here yet. I'll just keep talking to myself because when this goes on YouTube, all this stuff's going to be shown anyway. So I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up. Hello, Julie. Whenever I'm starting a video, live, I'm on YouTube the whole time, and then I jump from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok. So I go from my smallest platform up to my biggest one. And my biggest one would be TikTok. Okay, so just waiting for everyone to turn up. And by the way, while we're waiting, where are you from? I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. And where are you from? I just had my snow tires put on last week. We don't always get snow here in Vancouver, but it gets slippery in the morning. And I'm up early in the morning to drive quite, a distance to go out to look after my granddaughter one day a week. So that's why I wanted to make sure I had snow tires. Normally I don't need to drive, but because I'm going out once a week to look after her, I need snow tires just in case. A little bit of frost on the road. Don't want to drive on that. Toronto. Hi, Maniam. Toronto. It's on YouTube. Okay. How many people we've got? We got enough people. We'll get going now. South Carolina. Hi, Katie. Stephanie Ann from Michigan. Welcome. Okay, I'll just get going. I'll introduce myself first. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, you can see my free behavior board, my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can look into coaching one-on-one with me. Big wait list for that, but I'll get to it eventually. And there's no wait list for our podcast. My daughter and I do it together. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save it on YouTube if you want to watch us. In case you want to watch us do the podcast. We just filmed another one today. She tells me I should talk about it, but I don't know if I should or not. I can't remember. She runs the whole business basically. Well, I run the back end stuff, but she does all the planning and all the marketing. So yeah, because our podcast, we're doing something a bit different coming up soon on the podcast. Right now we do 2 a week, and so we're going to mix stuff up a little bit. Hello, Alyssa from Minnesota. And Jennifer from South Carolina, Victoria from Montana. And okay, so Southern California, thanks for all your knowledge. Oh, you're very welcome. I'm old, I got a lot of wisdom, but only in parenting. I'm done with everything else. Parenting, I've studied it my whole life. I just find kids fascinating and teenagers. So, but yeah, that's about it. That's all I'm good at. We all have something, right? If you've got something that you think you've got some good information to share with, just share it. See if people want to hear it. You never know, right? I've only taught 3 things in my life. One is fitness, and one is sewing, and the other one is parenting. Which one did I like the most? Probably enjoyed teaching fitness the most. I'll be fun. I'll be honest, because I love jumping around. It was aerobics. I love doing that. So, and then parenting, and then sewing. Okay, so I'm just waiting for your questions. In the meantime, I'd like to throw the odd thing in here. A lot of parents want to discuss all the bad behavior with the kids. I struggle with this probably every single week in coaching. It comes up where someone will really not argue it, but they really don't understand why you shouldn't discuss bad behavior with kids. The reason is they already know it's bad. Past the age of 2 or 3, they already know good from bad. You can maybe touch on it a little bit, but everyone wants to discuss it in great detail. Discussing all the big feelings and big emotions around the bad behavior, you're wasting your breath. It's just making them feel bad. And when they feel bad, they do bad. When they feel good, they do good. That's why I put all my energy and focus into the good kid, not the bad behavior. Parents want to focus on bad behavior. Huge mistake. Hello, Nicole from Vermont. And so I'm just waiting for your questions. Upstate New York, Carol. Okay. Texas. I've got a lot of clients, or I've had a lot of clients in New York over the years. It's one of my favorite places to travel to was Manhattan. Loved it. Was there 15 years ago for my 50th birthday. Loved it. I'll get back there again. Jennifer in Texas. Hello. Okay, I'm just waiting for your parenting questions. I'll do my best to answer them. I don't answer all of them because as things get going, it usually gets pretty busy. Plus, I like to mix stuff up. I don't just want to talk about toddler tantrums, which is a really common topic, but I like to mix it up too. So I'm not usually on this late, by the way. I'm usually in bed very soon. I'm a morning person. So just waiting for your questions. That's a different crowd at night. One time I did Sunday morning, and it was really weird. A whole different, no one knew who I was, and it's really confusing. I didn't know who I was. Hello from Toronto. This is Araceli. Sorry, but I'm probably mispronouncing it. Quick question. My toddler, 28 months, wakes up very moody. As soon as I open the door, he says no, throws a tantrum. He sleeps well, 8 p.m. Oh, okay. He just wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. Just ignore the no. Just go on there, be cheery. Don't overdo it or else he'll get even worse. So just say good morning and then just slowly, just let him ease into the day. He's just one of those slow waker uppers. My mom was like that. She wasn't moody at all, but she woke up very slowly. My dad used to have to bring her a cup of tea when I was little because he had to go to work, and she'd be sleeping, and he'd have to, because we were up at like 5 in the morning. My dad and I were both early risers, and I was really little. I was like 3. And I can remember he used to have to bring a cup of tea into my mom to wake her up so she could look after me because I was little. I was just a toddler. And and I remember it was like the Loch Ness Monster. You go in there. It wasn't even my mom. She'd open one eye at a time, and she just took forever to wake up. So maybe he's like the Loch Ness Monster also. Thank you for your live program. Oh, you're very welcome. I love doing lives. I used to do them every single day. I'm going to try and get back into it more. The way I'm going to get back into it, I figure, is time it 15 minutes on each platform, and I should be able to do it more often. I get talking, and then I lose track of time, and I end up spending too much time on a live, and I just don't have that much time anymore. So because I'm busy, so I love doing lives. Stephanie, toddler 2.5, becoming more defiant and demanding, trying to not get upset when refusing to do anything. Clean up, put shoes on, sleep in own bed. Okay, you don't get a toddler to clean up. You start cleaning up and say, hi, let's get cleaned up, and then we can do that. It's more of an incentive program. So like with my kids, if we wanted to go to the park, I'd say, so we're going to go to the park. Let's clean up first. So it was always a leading thing. Like I didn't just say clean up. I said, as soon as we clean up, then we can do that. So that's how I manage chores. Putting shoes on, I said, okay, time to get your shoes on. If they put a stink, I'd just get their shoes on anyway. Follow through with what needs to be done. Sleeping in their own bed, just keep putting them back to bed. I don't have the bandwidth tonight to talk about bedtime battles again, but I do have it in my courses. Also, if you just want to Google BratBusters bedtime, I have tons of videos on how you deal with bedtime. You just follow through with actions, with stuff that needs to be done. And with cleaning up, they don't need to clean up. It's something that you want them to do, so you treat that differently. That's why you use incentive, the as soon as method. Sure, we're going to go have a snack as soon as we put these toys away. Also, be fair and reasonable. Do you have a really messy, chaotic, tons and tons of toys everywhere? You can't expect them to clean up chaos. It's ridiculous. So I did a toy rotation system with my kids. They only had a few toys out at any given time. So when we cleaned up, it took like 30 seconds, okay? A lot of people have chaotic, like they allow their kids' bedrooms to get, like they hoard toys and chaotic, and you can't expect kids to maintain that. If you can't maintain it, you can't expect kids to. So yeah, declutter. How do we stop a 3-year-old from constantly screaming no? A perfect example of how we're not fixing kids, we're fixing parents here. So if they're screaming, it means you're not a leader. Work on your leadership and they will not scream. Start with my free behavior board. It's the training wheels with all this. Everyone wants to blame their kids for the bad behavior. Look in a mirror. You're not leading. That's why they're screaming. They don't act like that with a leader. They just don't. They just don't respect you. You got to earn that. What mindset should I go into the toddler stage with to help my son? Okay, play with them. Their love language is play, is fun. So play with them. And then when they act out, you can just stop the play just really quickly. Say, no, okay, we'll try again later. And that lets them know that the fun stops. So that's one way of disciplining a toddler. A toddler is under 3. And another way is to use consistent corrective actions, which is kind of the same thing. So let's say you're playing with your kid and they just get crazy and they throw something. And then you just say, oh, no, okay, we'll play later. You're taking yourself away. So you're removing the fun, right? So consistent corrective actions is removing them from the fun or the fun from them. So they will eventually learn. But yeah, you play with them. A lot of parents forget about that. The play is how you connect with them. Their love language is fun. It's not being complimented and praised. I know a lot of parents overpraise and underplay. Praise is okay. Kids don't care about it, by the way. I don't either. It's just, to me, it's empty fluff. I just don't care about it. Superficial. Kids are like that too. They don't care about praise. They really don't. You think they do, but they don't. They want you to play with them. Okay. Oh, and I don't let anyone in on these videos, just so you know, because sometimes people ask. So what are the things that need to be done? You need to go to bed. You need to get in the car seat. You need to get in a stroller. You need to get your shoes on. You need to get dressed. We need to brush your teeth. You follow those things up with action. You make them happen. They may be kicking and screaming. Just do the best you can. Okay, how do I control my instant reaction when my kids do something wrong? That is your personal challenge. I get asked this multiple times a day. I don't know how you can control yourself. That's your job. All I can do is tell you, you can be as angry as you want, but try not to show it. Okay, so whatever's going on inside, just think twice. If you ever show anger, frustration, or disappointment with your kids, you're not a leader. Okay, that you look like you're out of control. And it's also patronizing to them. It's kind of mean to them to show disappointment. Oh, I'm so disappointed in you. You know, how would you feel if someone said that to you? Your boss said, oh, so disappointed in you, right? Or why would you do that? You see, it's kind of insulting. So. Okay, a lot of what you cover, this is Sarah. A lot of what you cover is toddlers. It's only because that's what people ask here. Most of my coaching work is not toddlers, and I specialize in troubled teenagers. So yeah, it's just that's what comes up on these lives, especially. And you know what's funny is whenever we put out a video or anything on teenagers, it just bombs. No one looks at it. Or older kids, hardly anyone looks at it. It's all the toddler stuff. So that's why we do try and mix it up. But yeah, I specialize in teenagers, but I'm talking about toddlers every single day. So yeah, it's interesting. Okay, so this is Sarah again. I'm just starting to incorporate your advice. My daughter is 4, will be 5 in April. She loves a power struggle, and I'm wondering if I can handle it the same way as you cover for toddlers. No. Or do I need to approach it differently since she's a toddler, since she's older? Yeah, toddlers are 16 to 35 months is a toddler. 3 and above is a kid. That's when you start using the behavior board, okay? And then teenagers are a little bit different too. I know I said I was going to have the teen course ready, but my daughter said, no, we're doing other stuff instead. So she's in charge of all the planning in the business. We're just super busy right now. So I won't go into what we're working on, but we're not doing the teen course yet. But yeah, kids are all about the consequences, and they can stop and think before they act. Okay, toddlers can't so much. They're all about impulses. They just do stuff. So you're training them out of the naughty stuff by using consistent corrective actions. It's more of a knee-jerk, repetitive way of learning. So they'll like an example with a toddler would be they'll touch a hot oven 10 times, but after that they might not touch it the 11th. Not a lot of thought goes into that. It's more of a knee-jerk thing, right? It's repetition. That's why. But 3 years old, they can stop and think before they act. So yeah, you go into the behavior board. It's the training wheels with all this. You might want to look into the boot camp course. That goes into more detail about all this because I have 2 boot camp courses, one for toddlers, then one for 3 to 12-year-olds. My 3-year-old hits a lot in school. They call me all the time to pick him up. He's much better behaved at home, usually because you're catering to him and things are going more his way at home. Are you the pleaser parent? You give in to all his demands? At school, they can't do that. And other kids are taking stuff off him. He's probably taking stuff off other kids too, right? So there's more injustices out there at school, whereas at home, you're probably spoiling him and catering to him a little bit much. That would be my guess. The other most common reason is something's going on at school that's upsetting him. It might not be anything big. But yeah, so those are the 2 reasons usually that they act out at school. Then he said he's much better at home. I'm suggesting things revolve around him. Maybe you cater to him too much. You know, you give in to him too much. Give him whatever he wants. It's usually the reason. Like if they're good at home and bad at school, that's usually the reason. Feels like it's more me feeling the need to impulse to say what they've done wrong, even when I know damn well they know exactly what they did. Also, that's why you want to explain and make them understand, which they already do understand. So a lot of parents, or most parents, want to discuss the bad behavior. I don't know who's teaching that out there, but it's kind of crap. It's not going to do anything. You deal with bad behavior. They already understand right from wrong. Deal with bad behavior. Then you focus on the good kid. That's the pool story. I can't tell it again. I'd self-destruct. I've told it thousands of times. If you Google BratBusters pool story, it'll come up. It kind of encompasses this whole thing. I don't let anything go. I deal with bad behavior, but then I quickly focus on the good kid. I do not focus on the bad behavior. Huge mistake. Huge mistake. Where you put your focus, where you put your energy is what grows. I put my energy and focus into the good kid. That grows. Okay. Sorry, I just got an email. Okay. It's my daughter. We work together. For anyone who doesn't know, my daughter and I work together. And we're best friends, and we see each other every day, and we talk constantly. We never work together. She runs all the marketing and all the planning in the business. And the only time we ever work together is the podcast. It's the only time we're ever together when we're working. We have completely different roles. Whenever someone says, oh, so your daughter works for you? Nope. No, it's a partnership. She does not work for me. Believe me, it's more the other way around. She's a workaholic. What are your thoughts on rewards? I don't like them. You mean rewards for good behavior? This comes up quite often, especially when I get teachers as clients and they can't figure out why the reward chart works so beautifully at school, but it's a disaster at home. School is not personal. It's a business. Okay. It's like a lot of my clients are teachers, principals, and child psychologists, and that you can't transfer everything over. It doesn't work that way. A lot of stuff you can, but a lot of stuff you can't. Okay. Parenting's personal. It's unlike any other relationship. Okay. And it's also a lot of one way, pardon me, and that you're giving a lot and you can't expect to get as much back. Not right now anyway. But yeah, it's a lot of a one-way street too. It's a very unique relationship. A lot of give. You get your joy out of seeing them happy. You don't expect to get a lot back from kids. You shouldn't anyway. They're going to be a lot less thoughtful and considerate towards you generally. But anyway, reward charts. Why are they such a disaster at home? If you have a reward chart for good behavior at home, what you're saying to your child, the message that you are sending is this: you're normally rotten. If you should happen to do something good, what a surprise, you'll get a gold star. Okay, that's the message you're sending. It's insulting. It's mean. Now, a behavior board says the opposite. A behavior board says you're normally wonderful. If you should happen to make a poor decision, there's going to be a consequence. See the difference? Imagine if your spouse had a reward chart for good behavior for you. Ooh, you were good today. I'm going to give you a gold star. How would that go over? It's a disaster. It's an insult. And I just treat being nice as normal. That's my baseline. Like, I just treat it like it's normal. I don't treat it like, wow. Think about it. If a kid ever said, and I've heard this, kids will say, if I'm good tomorrow, do I get a reward? Like, as if you need to be rewarded for being normal, for being nice. Like, to me, that's ludicrous. Would you say that to your spouse? If I'm good tomorrow, will I get a reward? Does it make any sense at all? Why would you do that to your kids? Huge mistake. It might work for 1 week, by the way. Disaster, though. Oops, sorry, I'm going to scroll ahead because I've got a lot of questions and I want to make sure you're still here when I answer. I get a few thousand people turning up in these lives, but they come and go. So that's why I like to skip through, just to make sure, just to keep the questions current. Oops. Okay. Sorry, I have to go. I got to run. I got to move over to Instagram now. I'll continue the live, but I'll be doing it on Instagram, and I'm on YouTube the whole time whenever I'm doing a live. So if you don't want to join me over on Instagram, check out my website. It's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board. You can look into my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. If you want to work with me one-on-one, that would be coaching. Yes, I have a big wait list. I keep talking about it because it's so stressful. I will get to it eventually. If you want to work with me, but if you don't want to have to wait for anything, you can listen to the podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. We do 2 a week. It's on all the platforms, and it's also saved on YouTube if you want to watch my daughter and I film it. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'm hopping over to Instagram now, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Happy parenting. See what a good girl. I listen to my timer. 15 minutes per platform. I was going to say per platform. Oops, wrong one. I'm going to Instagram. And they keep changing the buttons that you have to push just to mess me up. Come on. There we go. Okay. Okay, this is Manyam or Many Am. My 3.5-year-old is helpful, a leader who tells everyone what to do. She does the same with her almost 2-year-old brother, and he bites her. How can I help her socialize without being bossy? That's not a leader. A leader does what's best for my daughter's very much a leader. I'm a follower in my personal life. She's a leader, but a leader does what's best for everyone. They want to make sure other people are happy before they are. A bossy person does what's best for them. Okay, she's just a little bossy boots. I would just say, quit bossing people around. And I would even put it on the behavior board and say, don't boss your little brother around, an example. So yeah, and then I would just deal with it. It's not leadership, it's just bossiness. Leaders, it's a whole different can of worms, a leader. I remember once, I won't go into great detail because I don't know who I'm talking about. But anyway, it was someone I knew who had a kid, born leader. And that was the kid that everyone else huddled around. And that kid always organized things that were best for everybody, but never themselves. If you were to ask that kid, what do you like to do? They would have gone, I don't know. Like they just were so busy organizing everything for the benefit of everyone else. That's a leader. Okay. So yeah, she's not a leader. She's a bossy boots. Big difference. We've all known a bossy person. It's always what's best for them. They think they're leaders, but no, very different. And also I want to say, I teach leadership parenting. It doesn't have to be your personality. I'm not a leader in my personal life at all. I hate it. I can't stand planning and telling people what to do. I hate it. So you don't have to be a leader by nature, but as a parent, it's the best way to go. Okay, so welcome to my live. I'm just going to introduce myself before we get going because I hop from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok, and I'm on YouTube the whole time whenever I'm doing a live. Anyway, check out my website. It's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board. Look into my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. If you want to work with me one-on-one, that would be coaching. There's a big wait list, but I'll get to it eventually. Also, there's no wait list for our podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. We do 2 of them a week talking about all sorts of parenting stuff. That's where we go into more detail too. But if you want to know about tantrums, we have a whole podcast just on tantrums. So it goes into more detail. Anyway, if you want to watch us do the podcast, we also put it on YouTube and we film ourselves. And anyway, that's that. Okay, let's get going with your questions. Whoops, just a second. Just got another. Okay, just my daughter. Okay. So, 2.5-year-old refusing nap for several months. He's hysterical. Why are you force feeding naps on him? Refusing naps. Okay, there is a transition time before when they stop having naps and then they're too overtired at night. So then you do the bedtime routine earlier. Then you can let them relax and stay up a little bit longer until they're tired at night. So yeah, my kids both stopped napping, regular naps, at about 12 months old. They don't all need naps. Okay, so yeah. But they would sort of have quiet time. Like I might turn on the TV or something if I had to get something done. I might say, okay, so this is quiet time. And I just turn on the TV like Sesame Street, or I don't remember what it was. Turn that on for a little while so they'd have some maybe downtime. But yeah, and sometimes they would fall asleep, but not all kids need naps past the age of 1. Most of them do, but not all of them. 2.5-year-old hits your newborn. How to stop this? Just protect the newborn. 2.5-year-old does not understand concussions, trips to emergency. They're not there yet. They just don't understand that. Just completely protect the newborn for now. And then whenever you're breastfeeding, if you are, or you're feeding the baby, make sure you have a little goodie basket for the 2.5-year-old. And that's a goodie basket time for the 2.5-year-old. It's not full of food. It's full of little games and little things that they can play with sitting next to you that they only see when you're breastfeeding. So they associate the newborn with that goodie basket. I got a lot of different ideas. That's just one of them. That's one that seems to be working quite well. It's a transition time. Just protect the newborn. I had a friend years ago when our sons were the same age, and they're like 36 now. Anyway, both our little boys, we got together quite often, like play dates with our kids, because both our little boys were very gentle. They didn't hit. And a lot of little boys are rough, and our kids weren't. So it was a really good match. So her sweet little innocent boy, when she had a new baby girl, picked up the baby girl out of the bassinet and threw it on the floor. He didn't understand concussions. He just thought, well, this loud little thing is just annoying me and taking my parents away from me. They don't understand danger, right? So, and we were shocked because he was such a passive, sweet little boy. but he just was sick of this little baby, right? So don't trust a toddler with a baby. My 5-year-old boy is mean to his older brother, acts out at home, but no problems when at school. Yeah, well, forget about the school because he doesn't have an older brother there. There's more familiarity there. I'm thinking that he wants the older brother's attention, and the older brother doesn't give it to him. So go after the younger brother. Don't force him, the little one, on the older one. And also don't do a lot of one-on. Oh, I got a whole bunch of stuff to say with this. I'll just keep it simple. Don't force the older one to play with the younger one. I think that's unfair. Just teach the younger one to find his own way, get more independence, find stuff to do on his own. For now. There's ways around that. Also, never do one-on-one time with your kids if they're not getting along. The best way to teach siblings how to get along and enjoy each other is when you're playing with them. You can do one-on-one time, but try not to focus it. Try not to do a lot of that. It builds resentment. 3-year-old having attitude and talking back to mom and dad what to do. You're not fixing kids here. You're fixing and teaching parents. That just says that you don't get respect because you haven't earned it yet. You got to set yourself up as a leader. They don't talk like that to a leader. It just means you got some work to do on yourself. Remember, it's never the kid's fault. It's the parent's fault. Take the blame. Take the full responsibility for your kid's behavior between the ages of 3 and 12, especially. Under that, toddlers are just a little bit crazy and no impulse control kind of thing. But yeah, between the ages of 3 and 12, all their behavior is a direct responsibility of your parenting or lack of leadership or leadership, whatever. So work on yourself. If you want the training wheels with all this stuff, go to my website, BratBusters.com, and get my free behavior board. So yeah, everyone wants to blame their kids for the bad behavior. It has nothing to do with them. It's very, very rare that it has anything to do with the kids. It's you. So, and that's the best news you can hear. Sometimes people will say, way to shame the parents. So you'd rather blame your kids and shame them? You know, who do you love more, you or your kids? Blame yourself. Always take full responsibility for your kids' behavior. Always. When I was working with kids, if they acted out around me, these are kids I saw maybe 1 hour a week. And if they acted out around me, I always thought, what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? I never blame the kids. I'm a leader. I blame myself. I work on myself. I never met a kid or a teenager I couldn't get respect from, but I earned it. I worked for it. Okay, this one's a tough one. What do you do when you've blown it in the past as a parent and now you have a teen who acts disrespectful towards you? How do I start to take leadership role in this late in the game? Yeah, I specialize in teenagers. It is harder, no doubt about it. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1 is you listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. Number 2, negotiate as much as possible with a teenager. Go something like this. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? You're building reciprocity, mutual respect. Number 3, with teenagers, don't sweat the small stuff. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? Or do you want to hear what I did yesterday? In other words, we all make mistakes. There's no shame in making mistakes, okay? Number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. So when do you discuss the bad times? When they're bad? No, never. You deal with it, but you don't discuss it, ever. What's the point? Never discuss the bad times. I want to go on and on about that, but I won't. Just don't do it. Don't discuss bad times. No point. Makes everything 100 times worse. Number 5, with teenagers, you can be a right fighter or you can be happy. They will die on any hill. Even if they know they're wrong, they're going to keep arguing, okay? So why are you going back and forth? Why are you arguing with a teenager? You can just say something like this, oh, let's just forget it, or let's talk about it later. Don't say, let's discuss it later when you calm down. That's patronizing. That's an accelerator. It's going to make everything worse. So yeah, you can either be a right fighter with a teenager or you can be happy. Think about it. That can be said for almost any adult relationship too. You can be a right fighter or you can be happy. I used to be more of a right fighter when I was younger. I think that's sort of something that you hopefully grow out of if you're, working on yourself. But yeah, I used to be more of a right fighter, and it is based on insecurity. And but yeah, if you're a right fighter, it means that even if you're right, you're just going to keep fighting and fighting. But there's no point. If you're fighting, the other person is never going to hear you anyway. Like if it's back and forth, there's just no point in doing it. It's better to just say, okay, whatever. Just different views, whatever. It's okay. Okay, been using your It says, been using you, I guess, my methods. I have a hard time keeping my house organized. Is it impossible to be a leader if this is an area that's lacking? I don't know how to answer that. I've never been asked that before. So in other words, if you have a chaotic household and you want your kids to do chores, make sure that if they're going to do chores, keep it to their room and keep it minimal. The more clutter and chaos, the harder it is to get organized and to feel empowered. How can they feel proud of their room if it's chaotic? You probably have too much stuff, I'm guessing. But, I'm more of a minimalist and I love cleaning, so it's hard for me to answer that. But yeah, usually people have too much stuff. Stuff isn't meaningful in life. You can't take it with you. And when you look back on your life, it's never the stuff that you're going to look back on fondly. It's the people, right? So maybe you have too much stuff. But I don't want to judge that because I don't teach it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. How do I fix his behavior issues at school? He's 3, he's hitting, pushing, etc. When he comes home, you say, okay, let's go to the behavior board. And you have no being mean to other people or no hurting other people. That will be his rule. And then there's a consequence when he comes home. Get the teacher to just go thumbs up or thumbs down. If he was hitting kids, don't bother the teacher. They're very busy. But just get her to give you a signal, like if he was good or bad at school. And then when you get home, say, you were hurting other kids, here's your consequence. There's other things we can do, but that's a quick live answer here. So I'm going to scroll ahead to make sure you're still here when I answer your questions. Okay, I feel for you. I'm going to read this question out. I don't know what kind of answer. I never know what I'm going to say. So let's see. This is Ashley on YouTube. Can you come back from a couple months of bad parenting where yelling and corporal punishment were used frequently when never been this before, was just stressful times? Or it was never this way before. You can't erase what's happened in the past, only move forward in a positive way. Let go of guilt and shame because they're never going to serve you very well. What I would do is I might say to the kids, depending on their age, say, you know what? I would say this, look, I've been a bad parent. I'm going to be a better parent. I'm going to work on it. Here's our behavior board. My rule is if I yell, I get a consequence, or, so put your rules on there and just show them that you want to change. And it takes time to change. They're not going to trust you right away. It takes 3 to 6 weeks to see any real change or any real sort of progress, and 3 to 6 months before it's cemented. But that's consistency. That's not just you have a good week and then a bad day. It's you want to be really consistent. And when you do mess up, they'll make sure that you're accountable for that. So yeah, don't have any guilt or shame around that because it's never going to serve you. You're probably going to feel it anyway, but it's not going to serve you. When I'm coaching people, sometimes they'll say, am I a bad parent? And I say, well, I don't know. Like, who cares? Like, and plus no bad parent ever hires a parenting coach. So don't go there. Don't even worry about that. Just move forward in a positive way. That would be like going to a diet center. Am I fat? Like, what's the point? Just go move forward and get healthy, right? So yeah, I don't like looking at the negative. I like moving towards the solution, not dwelling on the problem. You want to understand it, but you don't dwell on it. There's no point. I'm very in touch with who I am. What I mean by that is I'm very honest. Like, I say it like it is. And I remember years and years ago, I put on a lot of weight with my daughter, a lot after I had her too. Like, it was my biggest I've ever been. Anyway, so I went to Weight Watchers, and I remember struck me as so funny that I went there every single week. I lost like 60 pounds in 6 months. And so I hit my goal. And, but I worked at it, like I put in the time and the effort. This is what struck me as so funny. Every time we went there, we all have our little say. You say like a sentence. I can't remember what it was. What's your win or loss or each week or whatever. Every single one said, this is such a great program. I'm not hungry at all. I'm completely satisfied. Every single time I stood up, I said, I'm starving. I go to bed starving every single night. My stomach's growling like I'm starving all the time. I hit my points. Usually I finished all my points before 7 a.m. And then I was just munching on lettuce all day. I love to eat. But it just struck me as so funny. They were all in denial. Here they were there to change, but they were in denial about what was really going on. I don't understand that phoniness, that putting on the airs, I guess. And yeah, and I was the only one that walked out with my weight loss, accomplished. But I was also the one to say I was starving all the time. They were all pulling the wool over their eyes. If you're struggling with anything, just say it like it is. Say, look, I feel like I'm sucking at this parenting business. Help me out. And most people are really honest about that. But don't pretend that you're not going through stuff. You're going to find other people who are going through it too. You know what was funny is because I'm very open about my struggles. And when I was talking like that, they all said it made them feel better, but they didn't want to admit they were also hungry. Why not? What is that? I don't understand that personality trait. Why would you not admit that you're starving if you're on a diet? I just didn't understand that. But then we all know they were cheating and I wasn't, which is fascinating. I guess that's why they weren't hungry, because that's it. They were all cheating. But anyway, it's kind of like that with parenting. Just open up. Say, this is what I'm struggling with. Don't blame the kids. Blame yourself. Always take full responsibility. Never blame society. Never blame the McDonald's, for like that. A lot of people blame the fast food company, and just don't go there. That's, but everyone wants to blame someone else, blame the kids, blame the grandparents, blame the teacher, whatever. Blame yourself, take full responsibility. That's how you make change. You don't make it by making excuses or blaming other people. Take full responsibility for your kids' behavior, because you can do this. Anyone can learn this. That's why I'm here. I wouldn't be teaching this if it wasn't learnable. What's the harm in discussing bad times? Isn't that sweeping it under the rug and are not showing significance in the situation? Very good question. Makes total sense. It's still wrong to discuss bad times. You deal with them. That's the pool story. That's the pool story. The reason why parents want to discuss that, you're going down the blaming, shaming, and bullying department. I would say, well, that was bad. Here's your consequence. Now let's have fun. They already understand it. It's intuitive. It's organic. You don't need to discuss it. When you're pulled over for a parking ticket or a speeding ticket, does the cop explain why you shouldn't speed, how fast you were going, that you were a bad driver? You should know better. Do they? No. What do they say? Are you aware while I pulled you over? I won't tell you why they asked that, because there's a reason why they word it that way. This is if they're doing it well. They say, are you aware of why I pulled you over? And then your answer has a lot to do with how they move forward. And then they say, okay, so you were going such and such, so I'm going to have to give you a ticket today. And then they'll just start chatting about the weather. And then at the very end, they'll say, okay, so drive carefully, have a nice day. They don't discuss the speeding. They don't. They're trained not to. There's a reason for that, because you already know. You already know you were bad. You already know you shouldn't speed. Why dwell on it? Instead, they want you to drive away feeling happy about yourself, not sad, not mad. It's like, if you feel good, you do good. If you feel bad, you do bad. When you discuss bad behavior, you're making your kids feel bad. When they feel bad, they do bad. It becomes their identity. I want my kids, or kids I'm working with, I want their identity to be good. I want them to feel good about themselves. That's why I focus on the good kid. Okay? Yeah, it's a huge mistake. I know it's done honestly. I get why it kind of makes sense to discuss bad behavior, but I've never done it. I never will. And I know it's a big mistake to do so. You address it, they already know. They already know it's bad. Why do you want to discuss it? You're not sweeping it under the rug. You had a consequence. How is that sweeping it under the rug? Or not showing significance in this? You want the bad behavior to have some significance? No, you're following the wrong person. If you're gonna stand on that hill and you want that bad behavior to have some significance, I'll never get on that hill with you, ever. I don't want the bad behavior to have any significance. I want to get rid of it. Oops, I forgot. I've got to move over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's BratBusters Parenting. If not, check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board. You can look into my boot camp courses. I have 2 of them, one for toddlers, one for older kids. If you want to work with me one-on-one, that would be parent coaching. And I've got a huge wait list for that, but I will get to it eventually. Or if you want to listen to our podcast, it's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. My daughter and I work together. She does all the marketing, all the planning, and she sort of runs the podcast. She's sort of in charge. And anyway, it's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. We save it on YouTube if you want to watch us do it, because we film ourselves. Anyway, and we just upgraded our microphones. They're real fancy. They sound kind of buttery. I remember years and years ago, I used to do radio, and as a guest, and I'd turn up in the studio, and your voice sounds like, I fell in love with myself because you can hear your voice. It sounds like butter. Our microphones are not that good, but they're a lot better than the old ones. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'm hopping over to TikTok now, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Happy parenting. TikTok runs ads as soon as you turn it on now. They didn't used to. And there we go. Okay. New podcast tomorrow morning. We've got about, I don't know how many, I think 10 of them in the can waiting to be put out there. So I never know what's coming up. We have a lot of fun doing them. We did one yesterday, and my daughter said, I'm not going to put it out. I got mad. I got real heated, and it was just a really negative energy. It was discussing a topic I'm very passionate about, and I went in the wrong direction with it. But yeah, we canned that one. We don't do that as often anymore, but yeah, we got rid of that one. And she said, I'm not going to put that one out. You just sounded mad. 109. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think if we put out 109 episodes, that sounds about right. Yeah, we do 2 a week, and we used to do 1. We started out with 1, then the podcast just took off, and so now we're doing 2 a week, and that's all we can handle. We're so busy right now, but anyway, we love doing it. Absolutely love it. Someone said something interesting. They said, and I get a lot of people who hate me online too. That's part of it. I don't see any of that. My daughter sort of tells me the odd thing. Someone said, have you ever listened to this podcast? You can tell that the daughter's obviously terrified of the mother, which is funny. Because if anyone listens to us, they know she's the one in charge. I'm always in trouble. I'm usually standing in timeout in the corner. You know, I hate timeout, but I have to stand over there whenever she's working on my computer because I get in the way. So yeah, it just struck me as funny. I love the negative stuff. I think it's fun. I don't know why, but I like all that stuff. I don't get as much of it anymore, but I used to. When I first came on TikTok, I blew up on here like really fast. Oh, I got so many haters. I was loving it. And you know, they were the ones that grew my channel because what was happening was they were going on their channels doing duet videos. This is on TikTok. And they were like criticizing my videos. And then everyone was coming over to mine and joining me. And so I couldn't take it anymore. I started saying, by the way, thanks for growing my channel. I didn't say any names because I don't know them anyway. I didn't follow them, but I don't follow anyone. So, and I said, well, thanks for growing my channel. I said, your duets when you're trashing me is what has grown my audience. They all stopped instantly. If you're gonna grow by knocking someone else down, you know, good luck to you. All the best to you. But I love that. I just love stuff like that. I love psychology. They couldn't figure that out. If you're going after someone and you hate them with such venom, aren't people going to check them out? You know, maybe they might go over there. I love justice. I love karma. I thought that was funny. Anyway, they all stopped. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, I haven't introduced myself yet. I was just yabbering on, waiting for people to turn up. So anyway, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, BratBusters.com, you can get my free behavior board. Look into my boot camp courses. I have 2 of them, one for toddlers, one for older kids. If you want to work with me one-on-one, that's coaching. I'm sorry, I have a huge wait list for that right now, but I will get to it eventually. What else? Oh yeah, the podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. We're on all the platforms, and also we film ourselves and we slap that one on YouTube if you want to watch us. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me for the live tonight. I'm on later than usual. And anyway, I'm just waiting for your questions now. So, Lisa, what's your rule for parents who don't yell? It can be something simple. Like your rule is play hide and seek for 10 minutes a day. That's your rule. And if you don't, you have to play for 20 minutes the next day. So, yeah, it can be something like that. Or you can ask the kids, what would you like our rule to be? Yeah, ask them. It could be no phones at the dinner table. It could be no angry looks. Sometimes parents look angry. It could be that. So yeah, ask the kids too. They're usually telling you what they don't like anyway, especially as they get older. They're very vocal about that. This question I get several times a day. Advice on remaining calm as an overstimulated parent. No, I have no advice because that's your own personal battle. I can't help you with that. I can't help you regulate your own emotions. I can just tell you that when you do put a calm front out there, at least if you're calm on the outside, eventually you'll get calm on the inside because that calm leadership will lead to kids being calmer. Kids feel safe when they're with a leader. It tends to calm them down. So their bad behavior, their accelerated emotions tends to calm down when you're a leader. So you got to do that for the work first, though. Everyone wants to, they always say, well, when the kids calm down, then I'll calm down. No, you got to do it first. You're the adult here. You can't expect their behavior to calm down so you can calm down. You calm down first. I got tired of saying calm down. You know how you can't remember what a word means? It starts to have no meaning. The word calm. Oops, I got a hair hanging there. Okay, sorry. I'm just, my 1-year-old refuses a high chair, so he eats on the go. Well, you're letting a 1-year-old be in charge of that. They'd be sitting in that high chair. There's no way they'd be running around eating. No way. If you're allowing them to have that amount of control at 1-year-old, you're in big trouble down the road. So yeah, just make sure they're in the high chair before they eat. That's it. That's all I would do. There's no way I'd let a 1-year. And my kids didn't even know you could eat or drink around the house. They knew that there was no food or drink unless they were sitting at that kitchen table or dining room table. They didn't know any different. So yeah, don't let your child be in control, especially not at 1. My goodness, you're going to be in big trouble down the road. So you want to be in control of the stuff that matters. And there's no way a kid should be running around with food. Remember once, should I mention this? Oh, they won't be watching this. One time I went to someone's house and they let the kids eat around the house. And I sat down on, I won't say what it was. It was food. It was something disgusting. And it was smeared all over the couch. And they said, oh, kids, kids. And I'm like, that wouldn't have happened at my house. They were allowed their kids to walk around everywhere with soup, with everything. Like they just ate walking around the house. It was filthy. It was disgusting. Anyway, I sat right in this mess. And I couldn't even get in my car. I had to put a few shopping bags in my car seat, in my driver's seat, because it was so dirty. To each his own. You keep your house however you want. But I should have worn a plastic suit before I went into that house. Okay, how do you feel about they're always worse with mom? I find this to be true not only with me. They're more relaxed around mom for sure, but it doesn't mean that they have to be worse. They're probably more open and honest, so when they're thinking about something, they just let it fly. So yeah, for sure, my kids would have probably talked to me differently than someone else, but they were still respectful. So, but there was definitely more relaxed. Yeah, they would tell me everything. So yeah, it's just a more relaxed state generally, but it doesn't mean that it has to be bad behavior. Thoughts on television time frames for toddlers? I don't have an opinion on that. That's sort of, there is no set, this is what's healthy, this isn't. That's more your own personal choice. But kids are just fascinated by screens. I know I am. I love them. I'm on them all the time. So, but yeah, I don't have an opinion on that, on how much time they should be on there. I actually knew someone a long time ago. They had their TV on like all day. It was just left on, and they had little kids running around, and they never really looked at the TV. It was on kids station or any station. But yeah, I remember thinking, yeah, I probably wouldn't do that. Probably wouldn't leave a TV on all day. But yeah, I don't have any set time frame. No. What if it's worse behavior with mom? Does that mean we're all bad leaders? No, not necessarily. When their behaviors, they're more relaxed, so you're going to get the real them, basically. So when they are frustrated or angry, you're going to hear that, but it doesn't mean that they have to be naughty with you. Yeah, my kids, I was definitely the leader, and they told me everything, but they weren't disrespectful. So I think you're talking about disrespect, right? They're disrespectful because they feel comfortable with you, but the discomfort shouldn't always lead to disrespect. Does that make any sense? I don't think that made any sense. Actually, I couldn't figure out what I meant. But yeah, it doesn't mean that they should be bad with you, is what I'm saying. When you're a leader, they generally are good with you. Did you help your husband when the kids were acting out with him? Past the age of, no, they just didn't. They would push him around a little bit more, for sure, test him a little bit more. But they were kind of under my wing. I was the leader. And so if they'd acted out around their dad, they wouldn't have done that if I was around. And then if they were out somewhere, they knew that, and it got to be funny because I said to him once, and he was a good dad, but I was the leader. And he would say, I would just say to him, I'd say, just say, do you want me to tell mom? And that was how he handled them. And then they get past the age of about 3. They're under your wing. They're under the leader's umbrella, no matter who they're with, past the age of 3, 3.5. Okay? Because they just are. So they don't disrespect anybody past the age of about 3, 3.5. So they didn't disrespect him either. Because when you're a good leader, they like themselves. They have high self-esteem when they've got a good leader, a strong leader. So they like themselves the most that way. So they become that way, no matter where they are. But yeah, he would follow through. He knew what I did, but they didn't really act out. So it was very rare. What are the first steps in switching from a dictator to a leader? Number 1, be accountable. Put yourself on that behavior board, put a rule for yourself, and make sure you are punished. You get a consequence when you act out. That's number 1. Dictators or authorities, they're never accountable. My way or the highway, you do what I say, not as I do. And a leader, do as I do, right? So yeah, be accountable. Number 1, that's the first step. What can be an adult punishment? Oh, you play hide and seek with your kids for 10 minutes would be a good one. Or you might have to make their bed the next day. Something that they, like a chore they have to do, you might take over a chore. Something like that. So if you're not the leader, is it okay to say, do you want me to tell Dad? Yes, because you're still on the same page. That's how we did it. Because I used to say I didn't want to mess the kids up because I knew what I was doing. So when he loved, the kids were really well behaved. He liked that. So he would just say, oh, do you want me to tell mom? In other words, we're on the same page. So yeah, it's okay. Yeah. I remember my dad was the pleaser, my mom was the leader. And I can remember she must have talked to him because everything changed one day. Whenever I'd ask my dad for something, I'd say, Dad, can I have that? And he'd say, sure, sweetie pie, you can have anything you want. He spoiled me, right? So, and I remember one day it all changed. He said, sure, sweetie pie, you can have anything you want. And then he went, oh, first, let's check with mom. And I went, oh, never mind. Because I knew she must have said, just say, I'm going to check with mom first. And it changed everything. All of a sudden, Dad wasn't spoiling me quite as much. So then I respected Dad more for it too. So I thought, oh, they're on the same page now. I knew mom was the force behind it, but I still had more respect for Dad as a result. And I liked myself more. I didn't like taking advantage of my dad. I knew that it was bad. I didn't feel good about myself. I always felt better about myself around my mom, who didn't spoil me. Consequences besides media blackout. Check out the behavior board. You got lots of examples on there. And the media blackout is the second consequence. There's always 2 consequences for the kids. The first one's a positive action. If they won't do it, then you do the negative deprivation, which would be media blackout. You take away a favorite toy. You don't take away anything social, like if they play soccer and they love it. You don't take away, oh, you're not going to soccer practice tonight. You never take away something social or something like that. But you can take away a favorite activity. Or you can invent leverage. I don't like talking about that because it's sort of a last ditch attempt. But if you don't have anything to take away, you say, I'll tell you what, because you didn't do that first consequence after you broke the rule. So what we're going to do, we were going to surprise you by going out for ice cream tonight, but now you're going to stay home with mom and Dad's going to take the other kids out for ice cream. That's negative deprivation and you invented it. You were never going to do it in the first place, but you just invented leverage. I hate doing that one, but sometimes that's all you've got. And then the kid will usually say, if I'm good tomorrow, will I get ice cream tomorrow? No, it's not. I don't owe you that. You missed out on it. And that's it. It was going to be a surprise. Don't feel you owe them that. And plus you never reward for good behavior. That's the big disaster. Yeah. Rewarding for good behavior is saying you're normally rotten. If you should happen to be good, we'll do something. Could you imagine if your spouse said, oh, if you're good tomorrow, I'll give you a gold star. It's a disaster. It's very patronizing. It's an insult. Okay. 24-hour media blackout. If the TV in the living room is the only type of screen they get, doesn't that also give the siblings secondhand punishment since they won't get to watch anything too? No, it doesn't work that way. What you do is you give the kid, let's say kid number 1 has media blackout and you have kids 2 and 3. Okay, so only kid number 1 has media blackout. They get the run of the house except the master bedroom. The other 2 kids, kids 2 and 3, go in the master bedroom with a smaller screen. It can even just be your phone. Okay, everyone suffers a little bit, but because it's a family thing, and they're usually quite happy to be on a smaller screen, knowing that their sibling gets nothing. And then you're out there with number 1. You're out there with the one with 24-hour media blackout. They're not in the doghouse. They just don't have any screens, right? So you say to them, hey, look, I'm doing it with you. Do you want to play a game? A board game? No, I hate you. I hate you. Say, okay, never mind. Half hour later, when they've calmed down, you ready for that game now? Try and connect with them. Do you know what happens especially when you've got younger kids, that the parents are out playing a board game, or one parent might be in the master bedroom with the little kids if they're younger, but they'll hear the board game going on. Usually the other kids will come out and play too. So family board game night, win-win, right? Someone asked me that sometimes I get recognized in the street, right? So people come up to me and they say, how do you have, like, you just come up with answers so quick. How do you do that? And I say, well, I'm old. I've been doing this stuff for 50 plus years. I'm old. It's all in there, right? So I thought that was funny. How do you come up with this stuff so quick? I've been doing it for 50 years. That was funny. Do you believe in love languages for children? Yeah. Fun, play is their love language. That is their love language. Fun and play. Happiness, laughter. That is their love language. Teach us the behavior board. Okay, the behavior board is in 2 parts. The first part is the rules. The second part is the consequences. Everyone's on there if they're 3 years old and over, parents included. So the rule for parents might be no yelling, might be no phone at the dinner table. The kids are no hitting, or put your shoes in the cubby when you come within 5 minutes of arriving home. You got to time this. It's got to be measurable. And the consequence, if you do yell, then you have to play hide and seek, might be your consequence. Hide and seek for 10 minutes when you yell. If you have your phone at the dinner table, which is your rule not to do, right? If you do that at the dinner, and make sure you mess up. So you show the kids how this is all done. And then maybe you can't look at your phone for the rest of the night. Okay, that's a good one. That the kids get to put your phone away for the rest of the night. Then the kids, if they hit or something, then they have 2 consequences, not just one. You have 1, they have 2. They have the positive action is they have to do a chore, a good deed. So let's say they hit someone, they have to let that kid maybe play with their favorite toy. That's a really good, appropriate one. Let the other kid play with their favorite toy for 30 minutes. If they won't do that, or if they won't do the good deed, which is usually just a chore or sharing a toy, something like that, it's all laid out in my behavior board. It's completely free on my website, BratBusters.com. But if they won't do that first consequence, like a good deed or a chore, then you resort to the negative deprivation. You say, okay, so you broke the rule, then you didn't do the chore. So now it's 24-hour media blackout is an example. You're taking something away for 24 hours. So that's how it's done. Make sure you mess up. You got to be on there and you show them how it's done. I always say to parents, make sure you mess up. So you have to get consequences. You're showing the kids that you're accountable too, because leaders are accountable. And then I say, if you feel a yell coming on, let it fly. Most of my clients say, no problem. So most parents yell. I've never been yelled at. I've never yelled. So I'm more of a reasoner. I talk things out and I just like to get stuff done. I don't yell. I don't tend to have a temper. So it made it a lot easier for me. Plus I was never yelled at. It was never a comfort zone for me. So I had an edge that way. If you were yelled at, it feels more normal to you. Whereas to me, yelling is just weird. Oh, thanks for your support, Dwayne. And M, I had an Aunt M, my Aunt Emily. Love your podcast. Thanks so much for your support. I wish I was never yelled at. Whenever I ask kids this, I didn't do it very often, but whenever I would ask a kid this, would you rather be yelled at or spanked? Every single kid has said, I'd rather be spanked than yelled at. Interesting, eh? I think that words hurt more than physical stuff. I don't condone either, but kids have said they'd rather be spanked than yelled at. Like I said, I'd never been yelled at. I think the only time I was ever yelled at was I was about 26, 27. And it was someone who was having a bipolar episode. It's not someone I knew really well. And they just yelled at me for no reason. I was like, wow, that felt weird. Oh, I can't discuss eating. I'm not a nutritionist, so. Or a doctor or anything. I can't discuss it. Yeah. If you are having problems with food, I always suggest you go to a doctor. It's something that I have to deal with in coaching, but I always make sure that I make it very clear I'm not a nutritional expert. I'm not a doctor. So go and see a medical practitioner to rule out any health problems. And then we can discuss mealtime routines, but I can't discuss food because I'm not qualified to do so. Actually, I just heard my alarm go off. I've got to get going. I've got some work to do tonight. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board. You can look into my boot camp courses. I have 2 of them, one for toddlers, one for older kids. If you want to work with me one-on-one, that would be coaching. There's a huge wait list for that, but I will get to you eventually. And also the podcast is called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. My daughter and I work together. We do the podcast together. We do 2 podcasts a week, every Tuesday and every Thursday. And what else? Oh, I guess that's it. Oh, yeah. We film ourselves when we're doing it. So if you want to watch us do the podcast, that's on YouTube. So thanks so much for joining me. I got a lot of work to do tonight, so I'll be going to bed late. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Happy parenting.